Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Canine Connection. It's been a while since our last episode, but I'm so happy to be back here with you today presenting another exciting interview. In my endeavour to bring you everything canine and all the latest information on canine care, behaviour and training, I'm here with yet another interesting subject, canine nutrition. Its implications on general welfare, health and the happiness of your canine companion is paramount. I am your host, Victoria Morris, animal behaviourist and trainer. And I'm here today interviewing Carole, a professional canine nutritionist, and she runs her own practice here in the Côte d'Azur. Her practice is called Animafitazur, and I was very keen to invite Carole onto the podcast to share her knowledge and expertise with you and give you the best tips for your canine companion. Hi Carole, I'm delighted to have you here today on the Canine Connection. So I'm so happy that you're joining me today. How are you?
Hi, Victoria. I'm super fine. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to join your podcast today. I know how passionate you are about your profession and the animals' welfare in general. I have great respect for your background and profession, so it's a real pleasure to share with this moment today with you and your listeners. I graduated from a business school, which gave me the opportunity to work for several years in a major food industry group as a product manager and quality assistant. And I think like many people, I believe that the COVID pandemic served as a catalyst for me to rethink my career, giving me the opportunity to reflect on a personal project that combines my experience in agri-food industry and my passion for animals. To make this path a new reality, I've done a professional certificate course in Switzerland in 2022 and 2023 as a canine and feline nutrition consultant. The program includes nutrition, anatomy, physiology, pathologies, nutrition, and behavior of dogs and cats. This field is constantly evolving. I'm always searching for new studies and regulations. And often participate to additional training courses and conferences. So I finalized my project, the Animafitazur project, at the beginning of 2024, even if in reality it's constantly evolving with all the feedbacks and discussion I have with my clients, individuals and professionals like in hotel industry, animal shops, brands, and all the experts of animals welfare and world.
Yeah, so it's a really exciting journey, I can tell, and excellent. And I'm also really passionate about what you say about continuing education, because us as professionals, we need to continue to do that and keep in touch with the latest science. So, but what types of services, just so my listeners understand, do you offer?
For now, I divide my work into three activities: individuals, professionals, and volunteering. For individuals, I realize nutritional assessment with meal plans. For professional, like hotel industry, I offer customized menus, product analysis, as well as marketing and communication strategy advices. Lastly, I work with associations and shelters to improve the well-being of animals and organize also actions and events to raise funds. It's really important, this part for me.
So it's a really exciting time and lots of diverse things going on, I can see, and so rewarding also working with the associations as well and making a difference. What kind of projects are you working on at the moment? I know that you're working with lots of organisations, different businesses, so what particular projects are you working on now?
For now, a lot with two associations in Monaco, but more personally, I'm working on different projects, especially for a 5-star hotel in Monaco with reopening in May. For new and original services for this reopening. Also, I'm a volunteering consultant for these two associations, SPA Monaco and Roqueto. I help organize communication campaigns, action events in support of animal welfare. These two associations are often focused on their core mission, like rescue and adoption. So it's important for me to assist them in highlighting their shelters and people is working in this shelter and their societal roles.
Again, really exciting and great to, as you can see, a lot of these projects coming to fruition as well. So it's very, very exciting. Do you feel that canine nutrition is often underestimated in terms of its importance and not perhaps taken as seriously as it has done in the past? Obviously, with human nutrition and human health, obviously things are now starting to change in terms of looking at these various different things. Do you think that sometimes it can be underestimated, but maybe perhaps it's changing now?
It's changing.
Yeah.
It's changing, but I think people clearly minimize the fact that as for humans, there are so many diets as there are animals.
Yes.
I mean, we have to understand the simple fact they are what they eat, like us. So often pet owners only consider it's an emotional connection with the animals, and they can do mistakes with dietary choices only based on feelings or in ignoring scientific research on what is best for the dog's health, for example. They think that a particular diet is perfect for the pet just because he looks happy, in good shape, or just because the packaging of the purchase of the products has beautiful photos and marketing and blah blah blah, or fresh ingredients who doesn't work and doesn't exist because fresh food doesn't exist for a dog in this kind of food. Like kibble is always a super big process to produce this kind of food. So it's impossible to have fresh food inside.
I agree. I think that things are starting to change it, and certainly you can see it with human health as well, with the various different complementary products that we can add to diet that make a huge difference, and how it can affect our health rather than obviously relying on medication and pharmaceuticals. And of course, certainly when you go to the pet shop nowadays, you're looking at all the different types of food that are available. It almost feels like it's saturated, and like you say, all the pretty packaging and the different selling points that the different companies use. But there's so much choice and so much out there for owners. And I suppose for owners, it can be a little bit confusing as well, deciding which one's the good one to go for. And obviously, as you say, lots of different fashions and different types of diets that people can. But just for my listeners, why would you say nutrition is so important for their canine companions?
Very important first to contribute to his health, longevity, performance, and especially in the case of sporting or working or assistant dog, well-being, and more simply enjoyment. As pet fooders have clearly understood with the development of vet ranges, it's no longer a question of feeding your pet the right food for survival or minimal health like before, but it's important to cover optimum needs. So that's the difference, I think, in this last years.
And what types of cases are you working with at the moment, and how do people find you?
Cases like overweight. So many dogs, as you know, are overweight. So that's the big problems now. And they also often have behavioral problems related to food, such as scratching constantly, wanting to change their diet, poor digestion, and difficulty to tolerate certain food. These issues are frequently caused by inappropriate food choices. That's why nutritional checkup is so important. It helps to fix the most suitable meal plan based on their physiological aspects, eating habits, lifestyle. It's really important. The voice of the owner too. It's 50%, I think, of work. Most of my clients find me through word of mouth and my website generally.
Well, of course, I'll put that down at the bottom of the podcast so everybody can follow the link to your website and can contact you. But yeah, it's like the same thing as when I'm doing my consultancy with behaviour and training. It's very much looking at all these different contributory factors, and quite often, people will get in the habit of constantly changing the food because the dog's not eating. From a behavioural point of view, you want to be making sure that the dog is enjoying what they're eating, it's meeting their nutritional needs according to their activity, and of course, that they're enjoying it, but also that they're eating within that window that you give them from the dynamic point of view between the owner and the dog. So yeah, very, very interesting, and definitely working with the owner is important. Like you say, it is 50% of the job, and having a good rapport with the client and really sitting down and understanding everything. So totally agree with you on and relate to that one. So can you talk us through the consultation process and the key factors that you're studying when you meet with a client, and what type of information you're looking for?
After a first contact by email or phone, customers receive a questionnaire, first questionnaire to see all the general information about the animals and owner's choices and objective. And wishes. Then we fix a meeting by phone, video call, or in person if there are any in French Riviera. During this meeting, we review all the aspects of the animal's life, habits, including also physiological elements, home, context, behavior, and current diet. Also, it's important to understand also the owner's beliefs, possibilities and goals, very important. These last two components are fundamental, as my role is to align the animal's needs with the owner's beliefs, habits and possibilities. The goal is not to force the person to drastically change their approach, but to help them to adapt it to better meet the animal's requirement, considering factors like economics, time, habits and environment.
Yeah, of course.
Way of life in general.
And will you often look at, obviously, the blood tests and the various different physiological data that the vet will give you as well? So you're really bringing everything together and coming up with the best solution for the pet and also for the owner. Yeah. And what are you most passionate about when you're doing this type of consultancy work?
This job is above all a passion for me. Like everything I've done in the past, it's driven by the desire of listen, help, and most importantly, to experience the satisfaction of a client who is happy with my consultation and with my advices, and calls me back to share the improvements they've seen since adopting new eating habits. It's really important to have this feedback.
It must be really rewarding when you can see that the change in the pet and the client's happy. It must be so rewarding. And what are the general tips that you would give listeners when looking at dry feeds? We said earlier there's just so many different types. You know, they walk into the pet store and it's saturated with different marks. What would you say people should be looking at? And particularly when they're looking at labels, what are some of the red flags? What type of nutritional information should they be looking at? And is there anything they should be avoiding?
I always tell people to choose kibble made by vet brands. It's really important, this first advice. They are made to watch with pet needs. Big vet brands are generally more serious because they have the possibility to do a lot of analysis. It's expensive. That's why big brands can do that. And maybe family brands, it's more difficult. To make sure that the food is safe and balanced. I don't recommend small family-owned brands or those with a beautiful, packaging, showing beautiful pictures and message like no additives, natural, fresh food. That's just marketing. It's not the reality. The food can be fresh. As I said before, after being cooked at super high temperatures, around 19 or 100 temperature. And the meat, it's often leftovers of organ parts, not used for humans. So it's not fresh at all. When you read the ingredients list, it's very important too. It's always from the biggest amount of ingredients to the smallest. So the first ingredient should not be rice, lentils, or potatoes. It's important to have meat, like chicken in first. That's great, but only if dehydrated. If it's just says fresh chicken, remember that that is lose a lot of weight when cooked. So you have to divide the amount by 4. At least. Also remember that the best brands are the ones that give clear and detailed information, especially the levels of calcium and phosphorus. It's also very important. And about grains, there is this tradition and people who say, grains, you don't know, it can cause problems and for the digestion allergies and blah, blah, blah. They often get blamed, but they don't really cause big health problems in reality, except in rare allergies. On the other hand, the legumes might be linked because when you don't put grains, you have to put more legumes. So legumes might be linked to heart issues. So it's good to be careful with those, especially.
To really look at the fine detail, look at the ingredients, and make sure it is what it says that it is. And obviously, if you're looking for a food and you're looking at the amount of protein, the amount of meat in there, in reality, it might not actually be that appropriate amount. You're probably only getting a very small amount. So it's important to look at the labels.
And the quality of food, and the quality of the ingredient is really, really important too.
Yeah. And in terms of these food producers, what do you think they could be doing better?
Be more honest.
Yeah. Yes.
And respect the European laws. You have a lot of European laws, but basically they don't respect.
I suppose there must be some ways of getting around certain regulations as well. So, which you can find a lot with these things.
Second of all, to give more attention like I said before, to the quality of ingredients rather than focusing on marketing. And third, to invest in R&D, in research and regular analysis, which is the best way to ensure the quality and stability of the formulation.
All good, really, really good tips. Because I know that many people will find that helpful when they're going into the pet store or looking at the foods with the vets and things. But are there any recommendations that you would make for dogs that have certain skin conditions, arthritis, any types of these conditions?
To visit regularly your vet, at least each 6 months. If there is any pathology, it's 3 months. Yeah. But it's really important before to have a nutritionist or other professional advices. It's important to go often to the vet. Naturally, you can verify like that if there is an obesity causing osteoarthritis, for example, or an allergy, or simply the dog's physiological stage. A senior dog with a poor eyesight, for example. Diet can play a role in managing the inflammation responsible for the pain associated with osteoarthritis. It's important to provide foods rich in omega-3, like API and DHA. Such as oily fish, salmon oil, for example, sardines, herrings, which should be stored in an opaque bottle for this kind of oil in the fridge to prevent oxidation. So it's important to do
very much looking at an anti-inflammatory diet and looking at the omegas, and certainly with the vets with dogs that have these types of pathologies. Do you find in France and Italy that your profession that the vets are able to refer to somebody like you who can then consult on that? Do you find it's quite prevalent or becoming more prevalent in France and Italy that service is available for people?
Yeah, completely. And you have also vet specialized in nutrition.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. So the first thing is to see if there is a pathology linked to this nutrition problem. Yes. And after that, if not, you can have a consultation with a nutritionist. It's better to see if it can help, or in the education specialist. Yeah. So
it's good that things are moving forward, and that now that there are different professionals. Obviously, you're able to come in and help a client with the nutrition side that can then help with that pathology, and equally if there's a behavioural problem, it's good that it's a good cooperation and rapport, and that everybody can work together. And
it's part of work.
Yeah, and get the best the best out of the pet concerned, and improving the welfare, which is super important. Are there any breed considerations? I know people might be thinking that to take into consideration in terms of diet.
Basically, the animal's meal must respect its energy requirements. The calculation depends on factors like breed, physiological stage, activity level, and any underlying health condition. Vets and nutritionists calculate this obviously for you. Yes. Otherwise, you should rely on the information provided on the packaging of the chosen food, which reflects the minimum not optimal requirement.
And I know that the raw diet is very popular these days. People like to provide that for their pet. But also there is obviously the option of dry food. Do you have a preference? Are there any pros and cons with either of those diets? What's your take on that?
My way of working is always to adapt to all situation and habits, not judge, obviously, which are often based on family tradition or personal conviction. I will say that a raw diet can be a good option, yes, but it's very difficult to have the necessary skills and rigor to meet all the animals' needs. Additionally, there are bacterial risk, and a very high cost for larger dogs. Raw meals can be encouraged if they are made with quality meat and supplement with the necessary minerals and vitamins to cover the animal's nutritional needs. Dry food, on the other hand, is designed to be complete, included all nutrients as well as mineral and vitamin supplements to meet the animal's nutrition requirements. Preference should be given to kibble with a vet range, as I said before, as it's formulated to meet all the animal needs as closely as possible with a stable composition. This type of ration of meal is easier to manage, obviously less expensive, and for ecologists, friends, more virtuous. There are some aspects to consider, however, for certain dogs, dry food may not provide enough satiety, leading to them being fed repeatedly and given food at will, which can promote overweight also. In such cases, a mixed diet, half kibble and half fresh food, is recommended, also for old dogs, for example. Additionally, dry food has a low water content, so it's essential to ensure the dog has access to fresh water at all times to support proper kidney function.
As you said, it's really just finding the diet that suits that particular pet, and obviously the requirements of the owner, and balancing everything and coming up with something that's bespoke for that particular dog. Again, really, really interesting, and I know that all the listeners are going to find it really interesting. Can you talk us through some dietary considerations between puppies and adult dogs? Because I know a lot of people will be thinking about that. What do we need to do?
Obviously, life stage is one of the factors to consider when you calculate in the rations. I mean, a puppy must eat not only to maintain the weight it has already reached, but also to develop its various tissues like bone, muscle, and adipose tissue. So the ration should include foods richer in proteins, essentially fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins than when it reaches adulthood. Care should be taken also with lipid and carbohydrate intake, as they contribute to the growth of adipose tissue and increase the risk of overweight in adulthood. Therefore, free feeding should be avoided always. Weight loss can also be problematic, like leading to bone disorders. So owners should be reminded to deworm the puppy every month. Due to the puppy's small stomach capacity, multiple meals per day, at least 3, are recommended before transitioning to 2 meals in adult phase. It's also important to keep meals times consistent. The transition to adulthood depends on the breed of the animal. So it's important to check with the vet at what age the dietary should be changed. Also taking into account any possible sterilization. It's also important, which will reduce the animal daily energy requirements.
And what about senior dogs? Are there any special dietary requirements people can take into consideration?
Yes, for sure. The senior life stage involves several changes: a decrease in energy requirement, loss of sense of smell, muscle mass loss, digestive and cognitive difficulties, and a tendency to kidney disease, joint problems, or obesity. Therefore, nutritional support becomes even more essential. In this case, mixed rations are preferable as they are agreeable to the taste, provide high quality protein sources, important, especially for muscle maintenance, for example, and improve digestibility. It's also important to choose lower calorie foods with reduced phosphorus content and enriched with omega-3, OPA, and DHA, such as fish oils or 2 yearly supplement cure like AGP capsule. It's also recommended to give 1 or 2 probiotic cures per year of max 4 years by cures. Using products like Fortiflora. It's the only one supported by serious scientific studies proving its efficiency, good for the microbiome and better immunity. Also raising their food and water bowls could help release joint discomfort. Finally, obviously a vet checkup every 6 months, every 3 months if the animal has a health issue. Including a blood test is also highly recommended.
Are you often engaged with dogs that have issues with weight management? Maybe you can talk us through the types of work that you do with those types of pets.
Overweight, like I said before, is probably the most common issue. It's important to pay attention for it as it often leads to animal additional health problems such as osteoarthritis, diabetes, kidney failure, heart disease, and more. It is caused by multiple factors. Lack of physical activity, inadequate nutrition, poorly adapted kibble, sterilization, moving into a new home, stress, pick-out, which is a tendency to hit or nibble on everything. Several solutions can be set. Reduce the amount of kibble and add vegetables and wet food. Add psyllium to the wet food to increase satiety. Enrich the environment to stimulate physical activity. Consult a behaviorist, obviously, or vet, especially if there is some aggressivity linked to pain. Offer fatty meat for training to reduce boredom. And use interactive feeding bowls or licking mats. And adjust the frequency of meal, never free feeding.
Okay. And are there particular supplements that you recommend for dogs?
If you choose an industrial pet food, it's important to ensure that it's supplemented with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, which are found in fish oils. These supplements, rich in antioxidants, are beneficial for joint comfort, cognitive function, as well as for maintaining a healthy coat and eyes. If you choose a mixed diet, I will always recommend it to alternate between rapeseed oil for 5 days, for example, and fish oil for salmon for 2 days. The latter is richer in fat.
In terms of the pet food industry, do you think that veterinary professionals, other canine care professionals are opening more up to the importance of diet and its positive effects in terms of its impact on health conditions, and again, obviously not relying on so heavily on pharmaceuticals, and how, if we can look at diet, how that can positively impact. Certainly looking at the importance of gut health, which is, again, in humans as well, is so important, and equally in pets. Do you think that these professionals are opening up to this?
More and more, the emergence of my profession already reflects the growing interest and importance that pet owners place on their animals' nutrition. Moreover, humans often tend to project their own habits and beliefs on their pets. It's therefore not surprising that in light of the progress made in human nutrition over the past 10 years, both pet owners and the pet food industry have taken a closer interest into the nutritional needs of companion animals.
I'm very excited about this, and I think it's very, very important. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is diet, giving the appropriate amount of exercise and its positive effects, particularly in terms of behaviour and behaviour management as a whole. And often I see quite a lot of dogs which are heavily reliant on the wrong types of treats, full of lots of sugars and E-numbers and lots of nasties and colorants and things, often perhaps being overfed by the members of the household, and obviously the behavioural problems that can result of that, such as depression, and obviously the lack of mobility associated with that, and then the health problems that can manifest as a result. What's your take on this? Because I know you'll be just as passionate about it as myself. Where do you think owners are making mistakes with this?
There is so many ways to do mistakes, overlooking the importance of of a balanced diet, choosing food based on price or popularity, ignoring specific health needs, feeding the wrong portions. Don't realize that certain common human food are actually toxic to dogs, and even smaller cans can cause serious health issues like chocolate, macadamia, coffee, onion, garlic. It's also not adjusting for life stages, like we said before with senior dog. It's a totally different meal for junior and senior dogs, and lack of consultation with experts, especially vets. One last common misconception we often hear is, I've had dogs for 40 years. So
get this
I
often
know
with
what I have
behaviour
to
as well.
do and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or to feed them. So, I've had an uterus for 41 years, but that doesn't make me a gynecologist. So, the point is, if there is only one thing to remember for conversation is that every individual is different and has different needs, and the same applies to your pets. There are no such thing as the best diet. There is only the best diet for your animal, especially.
Well, I think it's been wonderful having you here, and I know that everybody's going to get so much out of the podcast, so much important information and tips. So it's been wonderful to have you here, and I hope that I can invite you on again in the future, and we can talk some more. But thank you ever so much. And just so that our listeners know, where can they find the contact information for you, and how can they find out more information about Animafitazur?
By mail or phone, and all the details are on my website at www.animafitazur.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Carole. I hope to invite you
Thanks
soon, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Victoria.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.